Hello, gorgeous people! Welcome to another episode of The Calvin Show. I'm Calvin, and let's get this ship sailing. Today I want to talk about one of my very favorite books. It's by a lady named Sherry Huber. There is Nothing Wrong with You. I love that title. There is nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with Ale over here. There's nothing wrong with any of us. We've been brought up thinking that there is something wrong with us. When I left Denmark at the end of 2010, I basically threw away or gave away all of my books. I had a wall filled with books. These days I'm just ebook only because it's just too much to haul around when you're moving and stuff. But this one doesn't come electronically because it has all these like illustrations and like funny thing typography and stuff. So I guess that's why they haven't made it available as an ebook. I'm gonna read to you what it says on the back because I think it's beautifully said. If you're satisfied with what you've been taught about how life works, and if you're content with what society has given you, please put this book down. It would be a waste of money to buy it and a waste of time to read it. However, if you've spent a good deal of time, energy, and money trying to improve yourself, trying to become the person you think you should be in order to make life work, this is the book for you. We will attempt to explain that you've been unable to fix yourself because there is nothing wrong with you, but there's quite a lot wrong with what you've been taught to believe about yourself and about life. Fundamentally, this book is about how we think that if only we criticize ourselves enough, if only we punish ourselves enough, somehow we're gonna improve. Like, say you feel like you're too fat. Well, if I only hate myself for being fat and hate myself for eating lots of desserts, then probably I'm gonna be skinnier one day, I'm gonna be better one day. Well, guess what? How well is that working? I can tell you what, it's not working for me. It's never worked for me. If that system worked, you would already be skinny because you've tried it for so many years. What we do when we're faced with the fact that it doesn't work is we just try harder. It's the greatest form of anarchy, really, to break out of that mindset and to just be like, you know what? I'm just gonna quit that line of thinking entirely. I'm not gonna buy into any story that talks about anything in any way being wrong with me. It's scary. It feels weird. It feels like, well, what do I have to hold on to then? Because we're taught that this is the way to improve. What you realize is once you've reached one of these goals, once you maybe you've lost some weight and you're feeling better, guess what happens? Now you want to lose more weight. I'm still not skinny enough. I need to be even skinnier. We think that it's about how we look or like how much money we have or whatever it is that our story is. We think it's about that, but it's not. It's a process. Any form of denying your own needs or not just like completely loving yourself is just self-hate. It's just easier to call it that. The thing is that self-hate is a process and it'll find something to hate. Body image seems to be something that we all have issues with. I bet you that even the most gorgeous supermodels that all women aspire to look like, I bet you even those women, and men for that matter, have something on their bodies that when they look in the mirror, they're like, oh, this is a little too big. This is a little, and it's ridiculous. It's crazy. Can you see it? Just like the most admired, gorgeous women in the world, and yet they don't even feel good about their own bodies. Crazy. And it just goes to show you how broken the system is. It's kaput. The moment you stop believing the stories about yourself that there's something wrong with you is the moment that this part of your brain, your little ego, your little police officer up there, knows that it's going to be out of a job. And it's going to fight for its life because nobody wants to die. So you got to seduce him into dying by being like, oh my God, I'm so glad that you brought that up. And thank you. You don't need to bring it up again. I've heard you and I'm going to now go ignore you. Notice every time it happens and then consciously choose the loving thought instead. I'm too fat. No, I'm exactly how I should be. I love my body as it is. Even if it doesn't feel true in the moment, you make it true in the moment. And the way that you do that is that you think of something that you know for sure you love. could be a child, could be a pet, could be whatever, and think of that thing or person that you really know that you truly love, and feel in your body how it feels to love that thing or person or pasta dish or whatever it is. Transfer that feeling of love to whatever it is that you're about to criticize yourself over. It's an ongoing process, but it's a beautiful process, and you can do it like in the moment every time. I like how this book opens as well. It goes like this: you've been taught that there's something wrong with you and that you're imperfect, but there isn't, and you're not. When I first read this book back in 2007, I could see suddenly that like all this work that I'd put into criticizing myself all these years was wrong. And I thought that I was doing so well with it because I was so judgmental and so critical of myself. So I felt really proud of that. And I did improve in a lot of areas. I got better at this and that. But it was never satisfying. It was never enough. There was never any rest. There was never any feeling of accomplishment, because as soon as I accomplish one thing, there's the next thing that's wrong. By realizing, oh my God, this is a system. It's not that I'm wrong. It's that the system that I've been taught to use and apply and believe in is wrong. That just like shifted my perception, and it set me on the path to get rid of this. You return to that place of actually feeling love towards yourself exactly where you are, and knowing in your heart and in your gut that there's nothing wrong with you. Maybe even in your mind, you know, life starts to get better, because life gets better by itself when you get out of the fucking way. When you stop pushing against it and labeling things as wrong, and you instead just open up to what is with presence and love, your life will magically improve, like overnight. Then you get attached to that. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm making more money now. That's great. Now I want to make even more money. This is fantastic. Let me do that. And then you get caught up in the whole thing again. This has been like, I've been caught in this trance for like a year before I wake up again. And then I'm like, oh my God, I was doing that again. And then go back to the process of love and accepting. It's normal to get caught up in the cycle, because everything around us, all of our childhood programming and everything that we surround ourselves with, all the people around us are reflecting this back to us. So it's so easy to get caught up in it. And your ego, your little guy up there who is trying to make you better and improve you by like criticizing you and pushing you and all these things, he's going to be super excited and be like, yeah, now it's working. He's going to really try to trick you. Just be prepared for that and love yourself for that. When you meditate, the whole process is focus on the breath or your mantra or your body sensations or whatever it is. And then thoughts pop into your mind and you get distracted and you drift off. And then you just catch yourself doing that, and you lovingly return your focus to your breath, your mantra, your body, whatever. And it's the same here. As soon as you notice that you got off track, as soon as you notice that you got attached to an outcome and to an improvement in some way, you just let go of it and return to feeling love. One of the things that I love about this book is pages like this with little cute illustrations. So this one says, self-hate is eating the dessert I want and feeling guilty the whole time. We're eating the dessert. We're doing it. We want it. We're giving ourselves permission to eat that dessert. And then we gotta go feel guilty and beat ourselves up for it. That's just self-hate. It's not necessary. Eat the dessert. Don't eat the dessert. But whatever you do, love it. Be grateful. Enjoy it. Do not beat yourself up. I love a page like this one. If you had a person in your life treating you the way you treat yourself, you would have gotten rid of them a long time ago. Am I right? There's a simple 6-step process here explaining how self-hate came to be, answering the question, where did all the self-hate come from? Number 1, the child has a need. This is you as a baby having a need. Number 2, the need is rejected. Number 3, you come up with a behavior as a means to survival in order to get the need met. So you come up with some behavior that's going to get the need met. Number 4, you identify both with the authority figure that rejected the need and with the part that was rejected. They must be right, so I'm bad for being this way. Also, I'm afraid, or like I have this need and they don't love me because of this need. These two things happen at the same time. So it's all about As a kid, we have to believe that our parents are right. We depend on them. So we're always going to make it about ourselves being wrong in some way. Number 5, the child decides to be perfect, to do everything right, to be really good in order to be loved. There's no choice about this. The child's survival depends on it, right? So that's what we do. We decide, if only we're good enough, if only we live up to whatever the thing is that we think we need to live up to, like not having this need, then we will be loved. Step number 6, in order to ensure survival, the judge, as a sub-personality, this is the police officer, the ego I've been talking about, is born to make sure that the child is perfect and right and good. And so now we have this permanent part of us installed into our brain that always keeps us on that right path and always judges our behavior and is it good enough or not good enough. And this is the part of us that we must love to oblivion. So one technique that she really recommends in this book is meditation. And it took me a long time to actually get that piece. And you're going to think I'm silly for this, but the key was really to realize why it's critical when you meditate that if there is an itch, you don't scratch it. If a fly lands on you, you don't do anything, you just ignore it. The whole point of meditation is to create separation between that impulse to do something and your actual doing it. So the impulse when there is an itch is to scratch it. We want to separate those two things so that we're not constantly in just unconscious reaction to whatever happens around us, but we have control over it. And that's the muscle that you want to strengthen with meditation, because what happens when self-hate gets triggered is like something you look at yourself in the mirror and all of a sudden you're thinking hateful thoughts about your body. That's the exact moment that you need to stop that reflex where seeing yourself in the mirror triggers that reaction in you. And this is what we want to train to have awareness, so we have a tiny little gap that's just big enough for us to not go into that conditioned behavior. And that's what meditation is all about. That's it for this episode of The Calvin Show. Thank you again for watching. And remember to go to my website and sign up for my mailing list in the top right corner. I will send you new episodes as soon as they're available, and I'll send you all the extra little juicy bits that you don't want to go without. Give me your questions because I want to hear from you and I want to answer all of the questions that you have. Remember, true anarchy is being yourself.